suspended police minister that is so dedicated to his job that he works on New Year's Eve while the rest of us are out busy partying in order to disband political killing task team units that were investigating a go-between of his friend or acquaintance. This is the story that Senzo Mchunu wants us to eat up. Now comment below if you are picking up what he is putting down, because I certainly am not. Now, this week in Parliament, all eyes were on Senzo Mchunu, the man accused of shutting down South Africa's political killings task team. Was he cleaning up so-called corruption and rectifying complaints, or was he covering something up? I'm Carri, and this is my channel. Remember to give me a like, give me a follow, subscribe to me. Most of you who watch don't subscribe, because we are going to get into it now. When Senzo Mchunu started off his testimony in front of Parliament, he started off with who he was. Previously with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, with Shadrick Sabia, they have come across as career policemen, while Senzo Mchunu, should I say, is a career politician. We know that he entered politics in 1992 and that he climbed the ranks of the ANC, and he ended up as Premier of the KZN area until 2016, when he was let go, or fired as I would call it. And fast forward to June 2024, he made a great turnaround, because when Bekisele left, he was appointed the new Minister of Police under the Government of National Unity. Now, in his own words, he said he had no idea the appointment was coming. He just got a call to report, and he took this new job very seriously. He said, you somehow stand between life and death. Being the Minister of Police is a huge responsibility. I agree. It is a massive responsibility. Then why so do you send police after influencers like Anton Taylor? So if you've been following my TikTok, you will know that Anton Taylor, he is a prominent influencer on TikTok. And a while ago, in March 2025, he made a video making fun of Senzo Mchunu. He pretended to be a substance dealer, and he said he's going to bribe the policeman with 2 adult workers and a BMW, I think it was.
Guys, we are catching Mkhwanazi. We did it. I'm so happy, guys. We're catching him. It's like Christmas or day my divorce comes through with my 3rd wife, that bitch. As you know, I am the foreign criminal in South Africa, and I'm making a lot of money off the drugs, the hijackings, and the cash in transit. But this general Mkhwanazi has been big problem, okay? He's killing my criminals in KZN like dogs. This Mkhwanazi is attacking my wallet. I'm not going to Mauritius for the holidays. I'm going to Gordons Bay. And I'm not getting these high-class escorts anymore. I must buy the prostitutes from the Kenilworth. It's big dive for me, and I'm very unhappy. Recently, my guy, Senzo Mchunu, the head of police, is finally saying he's coming for Mkhwanazi. Masibioze, guys, halala. I had to pay Mchunu a lot of money, and I'm giving him a BMW, and I'm paying for the 3 prostitutes. But the reason I get them to investigate Mkhwanazi is because I'm telling them, you are next. You know, Mkhwanazi, he's not stopping with these hijackers and the criminals and the drug mafia. He's coming for the politicians. So I convince them, you must be very scared. I'm celebrating because it's like so obvious that Mkhwanazi comes for the criminals and the politicians, and now they're investigating him. So now the only problem that can happen is if the people get angry and they rise up and they shout at the politicians. So for me, all the criminals, what we pray is that the public does not protect Mkhwanazi.
And Senzo Mchunu saw the TikTok and did not like it, because he sent the hawks after Anton Taylor. And how they tracked him down is they used Anton Taylor's cell phone number, which he was registered with under his name, in order to triangulate his signal. Now, this is an expensive process. I'm talking about hundreds and thousands of rands. And this was used to track down Anton Taylor. And he was busy sleeping at home in his house. And next thing you know, there were 10 hawks in his house, busy confiscating his cell phone, taking pictures. It was just anarchy. And luckily, Anton Taylor fought back. But this is the type of man that we are going to be dealing with.
Today, News 24 broke the story of how the Hawks raided my residence with an affidavit for crimes against the state, i.e. terrorism, because Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu didn't like a satirical video that I posted to my social media. So to be clear, Senzo Mchunu set the Hawks on me, the highest police force in the country whose job it is to deal with serious organized crime, raided my home and confiscated my cell phone in an expensive and intimidatory exercise. They triangulated my location with data from cell phone masts, which is A, very expensive, you paid for it, B, normally only used for murderers and the like, and C, completely unnecessary, because if they wanted to know where I was, they could have simply just reached out to me. They had a seize warrant for my phone and they confiscated it for 2 weeks. Why did they need my phone? And why did they need to send police vans and policemen, plural, a lot of them, to my residence in full view of my neighbors to come and get a cell phone from me? This was an expensive and an intimidatory exercise by our Minister of Police and a serious abuse of power. This is the type of intimidation that occurs in authoritarian states. I've been sitting on this for over 2 months, unable to talk about it, and today we are letting the dogs out. On the 29th of March this year, I released a satirical video in which I play a recurring character, a Czech criminal. My accent is poor, but that makes the humor more funny because it's so outlandish. And I began the video by saying, I'm involved in cash in transit, drugs, as well as hijacking. That, however, didn't seem to bother Senzo Mchunu, who somehow apparently took the video at face value. So he didn't have an issue with me saying that I was a criminal, but what he took offense to was the fact that my character said I had bribed Mchunu with 3 sex workers and a BMW for him to investigate General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the top cop of KZN. I posted the video in response to reports that Mchunu had instructed IPID to investigate Mkhwanazi. Subsequently, IPID came out and said, oh, there was an error and actually it wasn't Mchunu and it was an anonymous source that wanted Mkhwanazi to be investigated. So if you want to believe that, you can. More importantly, I said that I'd convinced Mchunu to investigate Mkhwanazi because after Mkhwanazi had come for the criminals, he was going to come for the corrupt politicians, including Mchunu. Which is exactly what he did over 3 months later on the 6th of July, where he had a press conference in which he alleged that Senzo Mchunu was interfering in police matters, which is something that I have experienced and can testify to firsthand. Senzo Mchunu is supposed to be investigated by the Matlala Commission. He doesn't need to be because we know he is guilty of interfering in police matters. He admitted to journalist Carri-Ann that he had set the Hawks on me. When I was in the presence of the Hawks official, he told me and my legal counsel that this was because Senzo Mchunu was upset and insulted by me and he couldn't let this slide. This is an egregious abuse of power and state resources, which probably cost hundreds of thousands of rands between housing the Hawks officials from Pretoria, flying them back and forth, using the triangulation of the mast. It cost us a fortune. Guys, in South Africa right now, our GBV rates are through the roof. Our women and children are being killed in their droves. The Cape Flats is a war zone. There are frequently mass killings happening in townships. There are tavern shootings. And yet, our Minister of Police chose to use our state resources and the Hawks to intimidate and try to scare an Instagram and TikTok comedian because he didn't like a satirical video that I made. So guys, I think you should share this video. And I think you should share the offending video that started this all off, which I've pinned on my profile, because we cannot go down the road of an authoritarian state which disallows satire. Preventing us from making jokes is the most un-South African thing you can do. In previous videos, I've said far worse things about John Steenhuisen, Helen Zille, Cyril Ramaphosa, and in particular, Julius Malema, and they were fine. They understood that satire is a critical aspect of our functioning society. So to those politicians who took my humor in the tone it was intended, I ask you in particular to stand up and get this guy out. My legal team will be pursuing this further. But public figures, politicians, and members of the public like you who paid for this whole thing are critical in getting Mkhwanazi out and getting this to the desk of the public protector. In this country, guys, we have freedom of speech and we have the right to make jokes. And nobody, Senzo Mchunu included, is going to take that away from us.
Now, to understand the scandal, you need to know what the Political Killings Task Team Unit is. I'll just recap it quickly. So it is that task team that was involved in investigating political killings in KZN, and it was so effective that in December 2024, November, then 10 of its members were sent up to Gauteng in order to assist with political killings and syndicates that were occurring then. And that is when they got involved in Kat Matlala's case. Now, Kat is innocent until proven guilty, and they started linking ballistics between Katie Malefe, who is also innocent until proven guilty, and the Kat, right? And they realized that the same guns had been used to murder Kat's, the attempted hit on Kat's ex-girlfriend, as well as to murder DJ Somebody and Armand Swart, and that was the man who was mistaken for that whistleblower. All the police officers, General Mkhwanazi and Fani Masimola, they have taken extensive time to explain to us with charts how successful this unit actually is. But earlier this year, something strange happened, because on New Year's Eve, when he was so diligently working, Senzo Mchunu ordered the team's disbandment, saying it was never a formal unit, just a temporary task team. Even though it had funding until March 2025, the decision, it came on December the 31st, 2024, written from his rural homestead. Like I said, while the rest of us were partying, Senzo Mchunu was working. Give the man a bells. This is something that he said the budget was tight, the team was never meant to be permanent, and it would be replaced by new specialized robbery and murder units. And this is something that was echoed along with Shadrick Sabir's testimony. And we know that General Mkhwanazi said that the reason the unit was disbanded was because that they were getting close with regards to arrests for Katie Malefe and for Kat Matlala, because they had just linked the ballistics. And we know that there is that go-between, Brown Mogotsi, who was communicating with Kat Matlala. Who knew? They have WhatsApps to prove it. Now, was this just a coincidence, or was there something more to this? And we know that General Mkhwanazi publicly accused the minister of political interference, and the fallout was explosive. He was being placed on paid leave, which I think is 2.4 million rand a year of taxpayer money, while the Matlala Commission and the Parliamentary ad hoc committee determines what exactly is going on. Now this week, Mchunu faced Parliament, and he sat calmly while Advocate Norman Arendse took him through the evidence and his statement and pointed out the inconsistencies. And Mchunu claimed he'd been fully briefed on the task team, but documents have suggested otherwise. He's basically pointing the finger at Fani Masimola, saying that he had withheld information about a 2019 work study that had already recommended disbarring the Political Killings Task Team. And this has become a common theme here. It is basically Senzo Mchunu and Shadrick Sabir versus Fani Masimola and General Mkhwanazi. There is a definite rift in the higher echelons of the leadership in the how the police is structured. And Mchunu said he was just implementing those 2019 findings now in 2024 on New Year's Eve. When asked if he had ever met directly with KZN's police leadership about the decision, Mchunu admitted that there was no such day. Because remember, General Mkhwanazi was shocked by this, because this political killings task force is operating primarily in his province, and he is the top cop in that province. And he found out through a WhatsApp that someone had sent him saying that it had been disbanded. And even Julius Malema pressed him, asking if the president himself had approved of this disbandment. And Mkhunu's answer was very, he didn't really give an answer. He just said, I briefed the president and he agreed to the briefing I gave him. But again, that's not a clear yes and that's not a clear no. We don't know what he briefed the president on. Now then came the bombshell, Mkhunu's alleged links to information peddler, a political activist, Brown Mogotsi, and alleged criminal Vusi the Cat Matlala. Evidence at the Madlanga Commission suggested that Mogotsi somehow knew about the PKTT's disbandment even before the public. We know that Brown Mogotsi sent that WhatsApp to Cat Matlala saying that unit that came to your house and bothered you, they have been disbanded and the dockets are on their way to Sibia, meaning Shadrach Sibia. Now, Mkhunu admitted that he did know Mogotsi, calling him a comrade, because remember, Brown Mogotsi, he's an ANC activist, is what he calls himself, a prominent businessman from the Northwest, but he denied ever speaking to him during this period. Still, we have WhatsApp messages between Mogotsi and Matlala referencing meetings and information only insiders would know. And Mkhunu then blamed a leak. He blamed a leak for the information. And he said, I never spoke to Brown Mogotsi during this period. And then to carry on, Mkhunu gave Parliament 3 main reasons for disbanding the Political Killings Task Team. The organogram, which is number 1, he said new police structures were already in place covering political killings, and keeping the PKK was basically having 2 units doing the same thing. Complaints, he referenced the complaints made by Mary de Haas. I referenced that in an earlier video I did, and police whistleblower Patricia Mashale, both of whom criticized the task team's spending and alleged misconduct. And third is the budget. He said the SAPS had old equipment, decaying buildings, and not enough money to fight crime nationwide, so resources had to be optimized, even though that budget had been approved until March 2025. But critics argue that these reasons were too convenient, especially given the timing, New Year's Eve, right when the team was supposedly getting close to exposing political connections in killings. As the testimony continued, Mkhunu appeared defiant yet wary. General Mkhwanazi knows in full conscience that I am not a criminal, he insisted. He claimed he acted within his powers and his conscience was clear. I was sober when I wrote that letter, he added jokingly that even though it was New Year's Eve, he hadn't been drinking. But for many South Africans, the question is whether he was sober, but whether he was honest. Now, Mkhunu remains on special leave as Parliament continues to investigate. On Tuesday, he's expected back before the ad hoc committees, where MPPs will grill him on those alleged links to Mogotsi and Matlala. The President has also suspended the Inspector General of Intelligence, Imtiaz Patel, pending a separate investigation. And the web is getting wider. As the truth unfolds, one thing's certain, the story is far from over, and more than just that political scandal, it's a test of accountability in a country battering crime, corruption, and mistrust. And I'll be right there following everything.